Good evening and welcome to the Nevis Newscast for today, Thursday, June 25th, 2015. I am your presenter for this evening, Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. Earlier today, a presentation of gifts was made to the Public Works and Nevis Water Departments. Here is more in this report.
Junior Minister of Communications and Works in the Nevis Island Administration, the Honorable Troy Liburd, today made a personal donation of 12 Bofang radios to the Ministry of Communication and Works. While delivering remarks at the NIA's conference room, Minister Liburd explained the purpose of purchasing the radio sets.
A few months back, while observing some of the, doing my observations, observing some of the personnel from Public Works, Water Department, also persons from Physical Planning, observing them work, I realized that we needed a way to communicate with each other when we're working on job sites, on projects and so on. And the idea came to me to look into getting some short-range, two-way radios. I just felt that it was something that I can do to assist personally, and the personnel from the various departments, I think they work very hard, and this is my way of giving something back to the ministry who are working hard.
Liburd explained that the ministry received 6 radios in January and decided to purchase an additional 12 to assist the workers in the ministry's various departments. Let
me say that the radios, they come with interchangeable antennas. They also have a clip-on so that they can be carried on the waist, and they also come with earpiece, so you can work with them hands-free. And each one has a charging unit.
The items were officially presented to Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Communication and Works, Ernie Stapleton, who thanked the minister for the donation.
I would just like to thank you very much for donating these important pieces of equipment that will go a very long way in not only motivating the staff, but also in terms of the implementation of the various projects and programs that we have within the Ministry of Communication and Work.
Also present was manager at the Nevis Water Department, Roger Hanley, project manager of the CDB NIA Nevis Water Supply Enhancement Project, Brian Kennedy, Principal Assistant Secretary in the Ministry of Communication, Denzel Stanley, Director of Public Works, Raoul Pemberton, and Assistant Secretary in the Ministry of Communications, Renee Walters. I am Pamela Diaz reporting for the Nevis Newscast.
Thanks, Pamela. The federal government is seeking to bring to a formal position the ability of the Nevis Island Administration through its Inland Revenue Department to collect corporate taxes from businesses in Nevis, even if they are branches of companies registered in St. Kitts, so notes Minister of Nevis Affairs in the federal government, the Honorable Vance Amory, who is also Nevis's Premier and Minister of Finance.
Some of those corporations which not so long ago were paying their corporate taxes in St. Kitts, and which have begun to pay their corporate taxes, income taxes, here in Nevis.
The Constitution is clear on the manner in which the island of Nevis and the Federation should function with respect to revenues generated in Nevis and in St. Kitts, the Premier stresses.
Over the years, we've made many efforts to get this matter resolved. And I am hopeful, and perhaps more than hopeful, that we will see that finally brought to a closure, and that all of the revenues which are due to Nevis collected, even if at the end of the financial year or whichever period is established, we have our revenue sharing arrangement as the Constitution and the SR 46 of 83 directs.
Meantime, Premier Amory also notes that value-added tax, VAT, is a critical part of the Federation's revenue structure, specifically in Nevis.
We're looking at generating somewhere in the region of $10 million. In the second quarter, 2014, $10.03 million. In the third quarter, $9.8 million. And in the fourth quarter, October, December, $8.9 million. So you're looking on average about $10 million per quarter, which gives you about $40 million for the year in value added tax collected. So far this year, 2015, we have collected $10.3 million in the first quarter.
Premier Amory says with the close partnership between the NIA and the federal government, the matter of what transpires with respect to VAT sharing and distribution can be settled.
Our position has always been that the tax collected in Nevis should be used for the benefit of the people of Nevis by the administration. And the discussions and the arguments about how it is calculated, I think we've put a rest to that under this new partnership. And while I will agree that we could have transfers from Nevis if we collect more than the amount or the percentage which we are due from the total part, there could also be transfers from St. Kitts if they collect, again, more than their share and transfer to us so that we can have the equation, which I think was 24% to 76%. We are looking, in terms of that arrangement, at quantifying to a greater degree, having looked at the history, the historic numbers relating to the VAT, what really is the percentage?
Premier of Nevis and Federal Minister of Nevis Affairs, the Honorable Vance Amory. The Inland Revenue Department, Nevis, will be hosting its annual week of activities from Saturday, June 27th to Sunday, July 5th under the theme Know Your Taxes, Know Your IRD. Senior Tax Officer at the Design, Planning and Monitoring Unit is Rhonda Thompson.
Basically, the week is to promote inland revenue and bring awareness to taxpayers about inland revenue. The 27th is our social responsibility, where we're going to give back to the community by planting some trees at the community centers throughout Nevis. It takes place between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. So if you feel free to come and help us out and give back to our community, planting roots for the future. On Monday, we will invite the primary schools of our island into inland revenue, give them a tour and host a puppet show that elaborates inland revenue to relate to them.
On Tuesday, June 30th, the department will host its Taxpayers Appreciation Day property tax collection drive, while at 8 p.m. the department's staff will participate in Tax Talk radio style on Von Radio. On Wednesday, July 1st, the department will host an information drive from its Know Your Taxes, Know Your IRD tax booth at the War Memorial. On Thursday, July 2nd, the department will host Word on the Street in Charlestown and a tax debate at 7 p.m. that evening at NEPAC. Thompson is encouraging the public to participate in the interactive sessions.
We'll be having our tax debate in collaboration with the Nevis Youth Council. It will be under the mood, the development of a nation's economy is directly proportional to the taxes collected, and this would be something of worth to listen to and hear the views from the proposing and opposing teams.
The week will conclude on Friday, July 3rd with a tax art display and bake sale at the R.G. Solomon Arcade. On Saturday, July 4th, the Inland Revenue Department will host its Interdepartment Fun Sports Day from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the El Camino T. Willett Park, and will conclude on Sunday with a service at the Wesleyan Holiness Church and its awards banquet at the Nisbet Plantation Beach Club. Coming up, Prime Minister expresses concern over situation facing persons of Haitian descent. The details after this break.
Yeah, tell me when you're ready.
Give me some space, give me some space, give me some space.
culture have a nice, and watch out, this is going to be the nicest culture.
Welcome back. Member of the Nevis Youth Council, Verna Grant, is representing the organization at the Youth Forum of the 19th Conference of Commonwealth Education Ministers, which is taking place at the Atlantis Paradise Island Conference Center in the Bahamas. The 19 CCEM, hosted by the government of the Bahamas, is conducting the Youth Forum of 50 international and local young delegates representing some 38 Commonwealth countries. Bahamas Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Daniel Johnson, officially opened the Youth Forum under the theme Quality Education for Equitable Development, Performance, Path and Productivity. The theme builds on the recommendations of the Commonwealth Ministerial Working Group, which was established following the 18 CCEM. Participants in the June 23rd to 26th Youth Forum are discussing issues in youth development and the strategies in addressing these issues and the challenges to go about implementing them. The Youth Forum is one of 3 parallel forums which provide opportunities for the wider Commonwealth education community to meet, network and exchange ideas and engage in dialogue. It also allows for members of key stakeholder groups to communicate their priorities and concerns to ministers. Deputy Prime Minister and Federal Minister of Education, the Honorable Sean Richards, and Nevis's Premier and Minister of Education, the Honorable Vance Amory, are leading a delegation from the Federation to the 19 CCEM. In addition to the ministerial meeting and the Youth Forum, senior officials and small states meetings, a regional ministerial caucus, a teachers forum and a stakeholders forum are taking place. In more local news,
HIV is considered a communicable disease, which means it is passed from one person to another via blood, semen, vaginal fluids, with sexual contact, sharing of sharps such as needles and other objects used for tattooing and stuff like that. It can also be spread through mother-to-child transmission, which is from a mother to her unborn baby, if interventions are not taken. So the mode of transmissions are sexual contact, unprotected sex, whether it's vaginal, anal, and sharing of drugs, injected drugs that you use through intravenous methods.
HIV Program Coordinator Nadine Carty-Keynes speaking on the different ways persons can contract HIV in an interview with Health Matters host Chevany Nisbet. Carty-Keynes says there are 35 million persons living with HIV worldwide, with 2 new known male cases in Nevis for the year 2014. The HIV Program Coordinator also explains what the phrase HIV is no longer a death sentence means, and says there has been many strides in mitigating AIDS-related deaths.
There have been many strides in trying to mitigate the deaths related to HIV and AIDS, and getting persons on treatment. First of all, getting persons to get tested is the first step. So you have to know your HIV status. You have to know whether you are positive or if you're negative. And if you're positive, then you can opt to go into treatment. And that's where you are taken care of by a physician who would put you on what we call antiretroviral therapy, which is the different drug regimen. These drug regimens, they have improved throughout the years, and they are less cumbersome, less harsh as they used to be, and not as many as it used to be, like early on in the pandemic.
Carty-Keynes says the Ministry of Health has updated its treatment regimen based on recommendations from the World Health Organization so that first and second line antiretroviral drugs are free on the island for persons who are HIV positive. Caribbean Regional Testing Day is set for tomorrow, Friday, June 26th. Free HIV testing can be done at the Ministry of Health's parking lot opposite Best Buy supermarket in Charlestown from 9 a.m. a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Persons are invited to get tested and know their status. Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, has expressed deep concern over the situation facing persons of Haitian descent in the Dominican Republic, saying the issue in the Dominican Republic is twofold. One is an immigration issue, the other a basic human rights issue. The Dominican Republic gave a deadline of June 17, 2015 for people of Haitian descent to apply for legal residency. The government has said migrants who can prove they entered the country before October 2011 can qualify for legal residency, otherwise they will face deportation. Reflecting on the issue of undocumented Haitians in the Dominican Republic, Prime Minister Harris says St. Kitts and Nevis respects a country's enforcement of its immigration policies. However, given the socio-economic vulnerability of Haiti, he urges that the enforcement be done in collaboration with Haiti. Speaking to the possible deportation of persons born in the Dominican Republic of Haitian descent, Prime Minister Harris says the denial of citizenship to persons born in the Dominican Republic of Haitian descent would be a breach of international law, which requires they be considered citizens in the land of their birth. He adds that any effort to deport them would be a violation of international law and best practices. Prime Minister Harris is urging not only the Caribbean Community CARICOM, but the Organization of American States, the European Union, and the United Nations to speak out against the prospect of this human rights violation. In this regard, Prime Minister Harris says he has been in conversation with Prime Minister Roosevelt Scarrett, chairman of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, and Prime Minister Perry Christie, chairman of CARICOM. That's it for tonight's edition of the Nevis Newscast. Thank you for viewing. I am Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. Good night.